offense from their Lions also. And so does Coach Don Matthews, unhappy because they couldn't score a touchdown in the last game. He said, I want to see some touchdowns. So I think it's a case of tighten up your chin straps for this game as we go upstairs to Pat Marsden and Lee Pedersen.
Thank you, Bill. Hello again, everybody, from coast to coast. As Bill suggested, we think it's going to be a pretty good football game. I'm surprised, however, at head coach Joe Galette. Surprised in a way because this is a man who has always been reluctant to make changes. Yet coming into this very important game, he's made 3 of them, Leaf.
Well, Pat, he felt like he had to make the changes if he wanted to keep a lock on first place. Earlier this week, he traded cornerback Andre Francis to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. His replacement tonight, 6'3", 200-pound Miles Darling, who Joe Galette says is going to be one of the fine corners in the CFL. Also gone this week was former receiver Todd Brown. His replacement, the fleet-footed Spencer Jackson from the University of Florida. He also released earlier this week big tackle Miles Gorell. And replacing him tonight in the lineup is number 60, Blake Neal. He's been with the Cords for 3 years. I think he can get the job done.
You know, it's hard to believe that a club that has an 8-1 record has been criticized, but the BC Lions have because of their lack of offense. Now, they haven't scored a touchdown in 7 quarters of play. That means, really, though, the pressure has to be on Roy DeWalt.
Well, I think it really is, Pat, because they have gone from a running team earlier to back to almost a completely passing team. So the pressure lies squarely on the shoulders of Roy DeWalt, and also, too, because Tim Cowan is not with him. His replacement tonight is Carlton Watson. So if Roy DeWalt does not get the job done, they don't have much experience at the backup spot. Also, another change offensively. Joey Little, first-year pro from Fresno State, will be in the lineup. Don Matthews feels he's going to add a little much-needed punch.
All right, let me ask you this. Do you anticipate that these offenses can score some points? Because both defenses are very capable.
Well, Pat, I suspect the defenses will dominate this game. When they met earlier this year out at BC Place, it was a tremendous defensive game. That's what I expect to see again tonight.
I can guarantee you this. It's going to be an entertaining and an exciting one. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Ils sont décédés récemment, soit Messieurs John Newman et Herb Trawick. Ladies and gentlemen,
we have a situation in this game where Coach Don Matthews has changed just a little bit. Coach Don Matthews at the start of the season, matter of fact, the first game we did with the BC Lions, he said, I think we have got the very best talent that I have seen in the CFL this year. Now, talking to him yesterday, he said, I think our talent is as good as any in the Canadian Football League. And so you have a coach who has seen maybe the talent of the other clubs come along a little bit. And this is becoming a very tough fight for the BC Lions. So the situation is, for BC, it's still a proving ground, despite the fact with a victory tonight, they are even in games with Winnipeg and in sole possession of first place. It's been a club that's been very successful. Now our national anthem.
Terre de nos aïeux.
Thank you, Bill. Mike McTagg will kick off for the Montreal Concordes. And back there, people who can really terrify you. Number 1 is Darnell Clash to the left of your screen, and number 23 is Kevan Jenkins, who leads all of the CFL in kickoff returns. We expect this one to be a tight defensive struggle. Let's see what happens. Jenkins takes it on the dead run at the 14. And gets it out over the 30 to about the 33-yard line. And he's brought down there at that point by Paul Gray, number 42. And so we'll check out that BC Lion offensive alignment for you as Roy DeWalt will start at quarterback. DeWalt comes into the ball game with a 62% completion record. And there are the receivers with the newcomer, Joey Little, wearing number 25, operating out of that slot back position.
And you know what I like about him? 6'3", 205. That's just a great target for Roy DeWalt to find.
Lions begin from their 33-yard line. End around to Mervyn Fernandez. Nice way to start the football game. A little dipsy-doodle, and Fernandez takes it all the way to the 52-yard line, a pickup of 19 yards on the opening play for the British Columbia Lions.
Well, you know, as we see this play unfold, when he finally gets around the corner, number 26, Harry Skipper, does a pretty good job to force it back to the inside so he can get some help. Aaron Hill, number 8, finally does make the play, but not a bad offensive start.
First down for the Lions at their 52. This is Kevan Jenkins, and he's dropped by Phil Jones back of the line of scrimmage for a loss of about 3 yards.
Well, of course, the great feature of the Montreal Concordes all season has been the play of their defense. Number 6, Phil Jones, the safety, comes up quickly to make the stop on Kevan Jenkins. That's a long way to come for safety. That's a nice job.
In the game in BC Place, which the Lions won 28-15, the outstanding player was Kevan Jenkins, who had 3 touchdowns. This is the screen to John Henry White, and John Henry picks up about 7 or 8 yards. He's going to be well short of the first down because it was 2nd and 13.
BC Lions run the screen as well as any team in the Canadian Football League. That time they set it up perfectly, but sure had a long way to go to pick up that first down.
Well, Leaf and Pat, we were both talking about that fellow John Henry White, a devastating blocker, but how many import running backs do you know that have lasted 8 years? And this is the 8th year for John Henry White. What a back he's been.
Well, we were also saying that one of the reasons that BC has been successful over the years is they haven't made changes just for the sake of making them. John Henry White has been there 8 years because they know that he's done a good job for them and continues to do so. Louis Pasaglia's punt is taken by Alan Reed at his 13-yard line, and Reed does a good job as he gets out very close to the 24.
Well, he sure is a guy I've been impressed with since he's been into the lineup. Of course, replaced Rich Tomaselli a number of games ago and has just done a more than adequate job at that running back position.
There's a look at how Montreal lines up, and there are no surprises there with the exception of Spencer Jackson, number 2, who will play the wide receiver spot in place of Todd Brown, who was cut earlier this week. Chris Haynes may be a name that's not familiar to a lot of people. He spent his time in the USFL with the Los Angeles Express and is a graduate of Notre Dame, where he played with, well, some pretty well-known names. Joe Montana, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers.
But I think, Pat,
the most prominent.
You know, the real Achilles heel of the Concordes so far this season has been the non-production from their wide receivers. Chris Haynes, 5 games now, only 5 receptions. They've got to get the ball outside a little more.
Mark Nate-Yurkowski was shaken up on the play. He leaves the field, and this is Dwayne Wilson. And Wilson, with some good determined running, has Montreal's first down of the ball game on their first offensive play as he cracks his way out to the 38-yard line for a pickup of 14 before Andre Jones, number 32, and Keith Gooch were there to bring him down.
That's the block, number 66, Lloyd Fairbanks on Kevin Corner. That springs him loose initially, and then some extremely determined running for Dwayne Wilson picks him up 14 yards, and as the BC Lions did, Montreal starts off solid.
From the 38-yard line is where the Concordes begin. And now they've got an end-around play of their own. This is Chris Haynes. And Haynes does a pretty good job. They say that he stepped out at the 47.5-yard line. He was forced out by Kevin Konar, but just as the BC Lions had Mervyn Fernandez get outside, the Montreal Concordes have success with Chris Haynes.
Well, they do a good job sealing it off to the inside, but also good reaction by Glenn Jackson and Kevin Konar just to hold that to a 9-yard gain.
Well, we talked about the defenses of these two clubs. There's the lineup for the BC Lions, their front 4 and their linebackers, but the offenses have shown some pretty amazing potency here early in the ball game. This is Reed. Reed, the ball carrier, has the first down for Montreal over the 50 to the 52. Nelson Martin was first there to meet him, number 4.
Great cut to get past number 91, Ty Cruz. Your middle linebacker's the guy you want to make the tackles in short yardage, and Alan Reed just simply made a great move to get by him. But, you know, we saw the defensive line of the BC Lions, and it's not too early, I think, to start talking about Shenley candidates. And I would have to think, as Rookie of the Year, Michael Gray, the defensive tackle, has had himself some kind of season.
Rookie of the Year and maybe the outstanding defensive player of the year.
Boy,
the guy has been amazing.
Sure has impressed me every time I've seen him.
So it's first down, Montreal. Turner Gill fires. It is complete to Alan Reed. There is a penalty marker down on the field as Reed got the ball to the BC 49-yard line. He would have a pickup of about 7 yards, but the procedure penalty is against Montreal, so they'll bring it back and tack on a 5-yard penalty.
You have a look at the defensive backs for the BC Lions. Larry Crawford, number 28, will rotate with Mel Bird and Andre Jones.
Montreal, number 60. First down repeated.
Well, that's the newcomer Blake Nill, who's in there at the left offensive tackle spot.
Well, you know, I talked to him before the game, and no question about it, he was very nervous about this start. He's going to face James Parker and Nick Hebler tonight, and that's a tough assignment.
Well,
That'd make anybody nervous.
Make me nervous, I know that.
Turner Gill tried to set up the screen, but it simply wasn't there for him. Now, let's see what they rule.
Well, he threw the ball.
Yeah, but I don't know that referee Ross Perrier necessarily saw it. He has not given an indication that he's calling it grounding, but he is going to rule that he was out of bounds back at the 35-yard line.
I don't know if he's going to call it grounding or a fumble or what, but it sure looked to me as though, well, we're going to have a chance to see it. He pumps once. No, he did tuck it in, and that's an excellent call.
The loss was 13 yards. Montreal back at their own 35. So with the penalty, it makes it 2nd down and 28 yards to go. Well, he was definitely over the line of scrimmage. He fired the ball to Spencer Jackson. Now, there is a penalty marker on the field, and let's see, that's what they're ruling it. An illegal forward pass. He was definitely beyond the line of scrimmage, and so it'll come back, and it'll bring up a 3rd down. Turner Gill has to play better than he has played this year. He's had his high moments, but he's had too many lows, and as a result, Montreal is
Illegal pass. Passer over the line of scrimmage. Montreal, number 12. 3rd down.
Well, Pat, I really think for Turner Gill to be effective, he has to go to that rollout style of offense with that pulling guard out in front. So he not only cuts the field in half and less things to read and look at, but he also has the opportunity to run with the football if the receivers are covered downfield. And, of course, we know that's one of his strengths, running with it.
Darnell Clash is back to return this punt from Mike McTagg. Oh, and this is a beauty. Clash is chased back inside his 20. Gets to about the 27-yard line. Paul Gray and Ken Cianconi were down there very quickly to stop him. So the Lions will have the football inside their 30.
Plays to watch.
Well, let's watch Roy DeWalt and that BC Lions offense after a 57-yard punt by Mike McTagg has them inside their 30. And DeWalt barely got back to the line of scrimmage before he was dropped. Doug Scott was there, and so too was Brett Williams.
Sure looked like there was a mix-up on the play, Pat. Either Roy or Kevan didn't get things right. I think he's expecting Kevan to come over and take it on a reverse trap play, and Kevan went the wrong way. Counter trap, I guess.
So they lose a yard on the play. It's 2nd down, 11 yards to go at their own 27. DeWalt right over the middle, and it is complete to John Pankratz. Now, let's see what yard marker they give him. If they give him the 37, he'll be short. If they give him the 38, he'll have the 1st down. Paul Gray, 42, and Ali Witherspoon, 52, the 2 inside linebackers combined on the tackle.
He's a good yard short there. I suspect that Don Matthews would gamble at this point as Nick Hebler is halfway out on the field, his big short yardage tight end.
Boy, I wouldn't. At the 37-yard line early in the ball game.
That's a big
3rd
yard.
in the yard. No, they're not going to gamble. Here comes Louis Pasaglia in the punting unit now. And I think that's a pretty good call by Donnie Matthews.
Leaf and Pat, that big number 99, Nick Hebler. That's the only time I see him when he hasn't got those colorful Hawaiian shorts on, is when he's got his football gear on in the game.
He is what you call a free spirit.
He really is. He's quite a guy.
I'll tell you who's quite a guy. This fellow right here, Alan Reed, who is the fullback in that Montreal offense, is back returning punts here tonight. He's done it all for this Montreal club since he's entered the lineup in place of Rich Tomaselli, who was injured. Not a very good kick by Pasaglia on this occasion. And it's taken by Harry Skipper. A flag comes down. We're going to have a no-yards penalty against the BC Lions.
That's good heads-up play by Harry Skipper. He knew if he, even though his back was to the cover team coming down, he knew he had a good shot at catching them for no yards.
And only a 31-yard punt by Louis Pasaglia. And now the no-yards penalty will be marched off against the Lions. Kevin Konar was there to make the tackle.
I don't think with Louis punting you expect to have a 16-yard exchange.
No yards. BC, number 31.
And
First down.
The no-yards penalty was assessed against Kevin Konar, who did make the tackle. So Montreal begins this drive inside BC territory at the Lions' 53-yard line. The handoff is to Reed, and he's grabbed from behind as he reaches about the 46-yard line. Stop was made by Mike Gray once again.
Looked like Alan Reed might just bust this play for a big gainer, but Mike Gray, number 77, just stuck out the arm and horse-collared him.
So make it a 7-yard pickup, 2nd and 3, Montreal. The ball at the BC 46-yard line. We've got 7.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. This is Wilson. And Wilson is grabbed by Kevin Konar as he was reaching for that first down marker. And they may have to bring the sticks all the way across the field.
You've got a situation where both of the Montreal running backs have got a lot to go for. Wilson's been under the heat of the head coach. He feels he's got to produce more than he has. And as far as Reed is concerned, well, he knows the specter of Rich Tomaselli, who was injured earlier in the year, is right behind him. Tomaselli's ready to return. Well, and he's got to make a decision, Tomaselli or Reed.
Well, I think what he's going to do, Bill, is Tomaselli will definitely come back in the lineup when he's healthy, and he'll just make a choice between Reed and Dwayne Wilson, who's ever better. They'll play running back.
It is a first down for Montreal. As the swing pass comes out to Wilson, a marker is down as Wilson reaches inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line, and he'll have a pickup of 4 depending upon this penalty. Andre Jones, number 32, was there to make the tackle.
Well, Donnie Matthews giving you a good indication which way this call's going. There's Larry Crawford, number 28, standing beside Bob Vespasiani, and they're happy to have him.
Holding. Montreal, number 58. First down repeated.
That's the offensive center, Glenn Keeble, called for holding. So make it 1st and 20, Montreal with the ball back at the Lions' 53-yard line.
Get back to Larry Crawford. What a great position to be in. You know, he led the league in interceptions a few years ago, and now he's back. Really can't crack the lineup, so, you know, they've got some good people on defense.
Gill looks over the middle, threw it, and Wilson tried to make a one-handed catch and could not.
And Gill took a real shot from number 99, Nick Hebler. He was working against number 60, Blake Nill, who, as we told you earlier, starting his first game at left tackle, and watches Turner Gill lets the ball go. Well, couldn't quite see it, but he took a heck of a hit.
So with 6.5 minutes left to play in the opening quarter, it's still scoreless, but Montreal does have possession inside BC territory. It's 2nd and 20 at the Lions' 53-yard line. They set up the middle screen to Big Nick Araki, but nothing was there. He picks up maybe 4 yards to the 49-yard line, and it was just as well that Turner Gill unloaded the football when he did, because James Parker was in there just breathing down his face mask.
Well, you know, I talked to Glenn Keeble out on the field before the game, and of course with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers sacking Turner Gill 8 times last week, Glenn Keeble was expecting a lot of different looks and blitzes tonight from that BC Lion front 7, and I think they're going to do everything they can to get to Turner Gill as early as possible.
Glenn Keeble got the towel, wiped his hands off. It's very hot here in Montreal, as it was in all of Eastern Canada today. Darnell Clash, the leading punt returner in the league, is back to receive Mike McTagg's kick, another good one. Clash at his goal line. The flag is down, and so is Clash inside the 10 at about the 8. So we'll find out what the penalty marker is all about when we come back. It's still scoreless, Montreal and BC, and we'll return in a moment. Well, they called the illegal block on Kevin Konar, but we suspect it may have been 32 and not 31, which would be
Andre Jones. Yeah, the officials don't get the numbers right all the time. They're sure they get the penalties right.
Well, they didn't have the replay to look at.
Neither did I.
The ball
did you like to see a little replays on some of these officials' decisions?
Yeah, but that one, I mean, was an obvious penalty. He just
Well, but I know what you're alluding to, Bill.
I'm just talking about any penalty.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
DeWalt goes deep, looking for Sandusky. What a fingertip grab. And boy, does he take the BC Lions out of a big hole. Sandusky has the ball at the BC 51-yard line. That'll be a 47-yard gain from Roy DeWalt to Jim Sandusky, and watch the catch.
And he gets in behind one of the best, number 26, Harry Skipper, a fingertip catch, and that is sure getting yourself out of a hole in a hurry. Look at that. My, what a great catch that was.
DeWalt came into the ball game averaging 62% completions. He had 14 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And now he throws looking for Fernandez, but it's over his head. And once again, Miles Darling, number 36 this time on the coverage.
You know, that's a great matchup there. Fernandez against Darling. They're both 6'3", 200 pounds. You don't usually see wide receivers and cornerbacks of that size. And it'll be interesting to watch those two go at it tonight. But Roy DeWalt, you know, he loves to throw that long bomb, and I don't think there's a guy around that can do it better. He just laid that ball out to Sandusky perfectly.
DeWalt has completed 3 of his 4 passes tonight for 67 yards, as the Lions have a 2nd and 10 at their 51. DeWalt fires it right over the middle, and the pass is caught very close to a first down by John Henry White, with Paul Gray, number 42, there to make the tackle.
Well, I suspect they're in an area of the field that they might gamble now, because they are almost a full yard short.
And they bring Ryan Potter into the ball game. Leaving is Joey Little, number 25. It is 3rd and 1, BC at the Montreal 50-yard line. 4 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in a scoreless first quarter. The give is to Kevan Jenkins. He's got the first down as he bowls his way to about the 48-yard line.
Good job running the football by Kevan. He saw just a little opening and knew all he needed was a yard. He runs a lot harder than his physical size, only about 170 pounds, but really busts up in there hard.
And Kevan really has been the outstanding player in the CFL, I believe, this year, but we've still got a long way to go. And those games against Winnipeg back-to-back are going to have a lot of bearing on those Shenley awards. DeWalt could not find anyone open, so he pulls the ball down and runs for a couple of yards to the Montreal 46. Sandy Armstrong, 81, and Brett Williams, 71, were there to combine on the tackle.
You know, Pat, Kevan Jenkins says that he is surprised at the success he's had running. He said, I really didn't think I'd be running as much as I have been doing this year. It's come because of the success we've had. And so he says, that has surprised me. But he said the thing that surprised me even more was I was unable to break a long run for a long time. And he said, I finally found what it was. There's an extra guy in that backfield. They got 12 guys in there instead of 11.
Number 71, Brett Williams, the 2nd sack of the ball game for the Montreal Concordes. And he drops the BC quarterback right back at midfield.
Well, he's playing in his 6th game since joining the Montreal Concordes, and he's really given them some good pressure up the middle in the games he's played. And that time, once again, a good job downfield by the secondary, allowing the defensive line to come in and get the sack.
So Louis Pasaglia will punt as he stands at his own 40-yard line with only one man back, and that's Alan Reed. This is a good one. Reed allows it to bounce. He was hoping it would go into the end zone. Finally picks it up at the 2 and gets to about the 10-yard line, and that's as far as he'll get. So with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left to play in the opening quarter, it remains scoreless. BC and Montreal. We'll be back in a moment.
That, BC Lions fans, is not Crazy George. That is the father of Crazy George. It's the Crazy Concordes leader. Hey, you know, he looks a lot like Crazy George, doesn't he?
He does, but I'll tell you, this fellow's been doing this for the last 3 years. He's been right into this Montreal Concordes scene that long. First down, Montreal, the ball at their 11-yard line. This is Alan Reed. And Reed picks his way to about the 15 for a pickup of 4. Montreal not wanting to be too fancy deep in their own territory with just 2 minutes left to play in this opening quarter.
Yeah, but, you know, this game has gone pretty much the way we expected it would. In that last game out in BC Place between these two teams, it was 14-14 at the half, and probably one of the best played halves of football we saw all year. And so far, another defensive struggle.
Let's see where a very good job by Nick Hebler directing the official to exactly the point where Turner Gill stepped out, and that leaves him a couple of yards short of a first down.
Well, I'll tell you, Nick's not too shy out there. He's going to tell the ref what he thinks.
Gill made a dive to try to get to the yardstick, but let's take a look at this.
Well, no question, out of bounds.
Yeah, Nick had pretty
Great
good
spot.
eyes.
Great spot by the officials. Watch that right foot. Bingo. You tell him, Nick. You were right.
So that means that we're going to see Mike McTagg once again. And McTagg is punting really with the wind, although, you know, we're semi-enclosed here at the Big O. But punting from left to right, it does favor the punter in this opening quarter, Mike McTagg. He dropped the pass from center and then gets his worst kick of the day away as Darnell Clash fields it at the 50. There was a tremendous block on Preston Young that allowed Darnell Clash to get to the outside, and he takes it all the way down to the Montreal 31-yard line, where Mike McTagg is forced to make the tackle.
You know what? Pat, watch the move he makes right here on number 8, Aaron Hill. Little juke to the inside and then back to the outside, and he's off and running. Another good block, as you mentioned, on Preston Young. And this guy is exciting. He's done it all year long, and Mike McTagg had to make the tackle.
Credit Larry Crawford with the big block on Preston Young as Roy DeWalt and the offense starts at the Montreal 31-yard line. DeWalt's pass is caught by John Pankratz, and on him immediately was Harry Skipper. Mark Napier-Kowski, who was injured earlier in this first quarter, you can tell under a lot of pain.
Good throw by Roy DeWalt. Really steps up and guns this ball. Harry Skipper just has a free shot here and makes the most of it. Really unloads.
The ball is right at the 23-yard line, so the pickup is 8. Make it 2nd and 2 for the Lions at that point, with just 43 seconds left to play in the opening quarter.
You have to wonder whether the BC Lions have a little trouble getting back into gear after coming off their breaks. They came out that break against Calgary, or rather went in against Calgary, and they were upset, and nobody expected that. Well, now they certainly haven't looked like they're a little stale from having their leg where that. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, they faked the end around to Mervyn Fernandez. Paul Gray was there to stuff the ball carrier as he was reaching for the 21-yard line. It's Kevan Jenkins. And he's very close to another BC first down. They're going to call the yardsticks out.
Yeah, Paul Gray, the leading tackler on the club. Watch how he fills the hole. That's what you have to have from your middle linebacker in the short yardage situations. He's the guy that's got to make the play, and he really lays the lumber on him.
So it's 3rd down, less than a yard to go. Montreal brings George Volk onto the field and bring Miles Darling out. They add the extra linebacker, and they'll probably have about 7 of those big guys up front, anticipating the run by BC. 3rd and less than a yard. DeWalt keeps it himself. Now let's see this.
Oh, they give him a bad spot here, Pat, I think.
And Montreal is going to take over on down.
I'm not so sure about that spot. I'll be really interested to see the replay, and of course we have the luxury of doing that, but watch the forward progress of Roy DeWalt here. Seems initially, well, I don't know, he just got stuffed. Great job by Brett Williams, number 71, in that gap, along with Sandy Armstrong. Steve Rocky, number 99, well, he was in on the play as well.
You know, prior to the opening game of the season against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Joe Galat told the players this is the most important game of the franchise. Well, he also told them that tonight is ultra important too, although he still feels that win over Winnipeg was the biggest one. Alan Reed takes the pass over the middle, gets to about the 29-yard line for a pickup of 7 on the final play of the first quarter, and it remains scoreless. The British Columbia Lions and the Montreal Concordes. We'll return with the starts to go. Montreal, this is run all the way by the Concordes quarterback Turner Gill, who appears to have a first down, but we'll wait and see what referee Ross Perrier has to say. Stop was made by Kevin Konar, number 31. Konar's been very active back there for the Lions tonight, as he has been all season. It is first down, Montreal. You know, we were just talking during the break, Leaf. There's no score in the football game, but it's been a good one.
Well, I've enjoyed it, and as the first quarter Chevy stats show you the BC Lions with 96 yards total offense, and were not able to score any points. Shows you the Montreal defense playing pretty well tonight.
The pass was behind Nick Araki. He made a good catch with Nelson Martin hanging onto him and crosses the 40 to about the 41-yard line for a pickup of very close to 8 yards. This is a good catch by the big fella from Bishop's University.
Yeah, it's a great catch. He takes a good hit from Nelson Martin, but you know what else it is? It's a good call on first down. He's a big 6'6" target. Quick little look in. You don't see that too much anymore, but it's a play that can really give you some positive yardage on first down.
Donnie Matthews, who really has been under the weather himself for the last couple of weeks after their game in Ottawa. He picked up a virus, and Donnie's lost a lot of weight. As the handoff goes to Alan Reed, and Reed has another first down for Montreal, stretching his way to the 48-yard line before Keith Gooch made the stop on him.
And the youngster, number 60, Blake Mill, just did a great job taking the defensive end, Nick Ebler, down to the inside. That allowed Alan Reed to break it outside and pick up the first down. Nice job by the young tackle.
Alan Reed, since he's been in there in place of Rich Tomaselli, has averaged very close to 6 yards every time he's carried the football. He gives Montreal possession at their own 48.5-yard line. First down. Gill's pass was intended for the newcomer Spencer Jackson, but it goes incomplete. Jackson's an interesting case. Played with Johnny Bassett's Tampa Bay club in the USFL coming out of the University of Florida, and he was an academic All-American. It was funny, Joe Galat was saying after the first practice he was telling us how to run the plays.
So I don't know if I'm getting the wrong feeling from the sidelines here, but there's no score on the board, but you don't feel it's that kind of a game. There's been a lot of offense, and it's been a very interesting ball game.
Well, both teams have moved themselves out of poor field position and then have not been able to convert anything.
It's second down and 10, Montreal inside their 50. Flags are down. This is going to be a free one, Turner Gill anticipates. The catch is made by Mike McTagg, and it was a great catch. It appeared as though Mike Gray was offside, and if that is the case, that pass will stand, and Montreal will have possession at the BC 47-yard line.
Offside, BC number 77, declined, first down.
That's another big catch with Nelson Martin draped all over him again.
Well, they get a good matchup, an inside receiver against a strong safety, and Mike McTagg does an excellent job coming back to the quarterback. That's the key here because he keeps himself in between. Well, actually, it was Andre Jones who made the play, but that's a nice catch by Mike McTagg. One of the bright spots for the Concordes this season.
First down, Montreal at the BC 47. This is Wilson. Nice little stutter step to get away from Haviler. And then he gets to the 40-yard line for a pickup of 7 yards. Kevin Konar once again made the stop for the Lions.
Well, they know the BC Lions have got a great pass rush, and they've really been able to keep them off balance on this drive, mixing up the run and the pass, and it really slows those big old guys like Nick Ebler, Mike Gray down when you're running on first down, getting good yardage.
7 yards in that instance, and there's the man that Leaf talked about, Blake Mill, at the top of the show, who's in there at that tackle spot in place of Miles Gurrell, who was cut this week. The give is again to Wilson, and he just gets to the line of scrimmage, no further.
You know something, Pat? You talk about Gurrell and Nil. Gurrell is 6'8", 285, so you figure, well, you're going to give up a lot of size. Nil is 285, 6'6". You give up 2 inches.
They've both been well fed. There's no question about that. We're going to see Roy Kurtz now for a 47-yard field goal try by the Concordes, and if he's successful, we'll be on the board for the first time tonight with 11 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in the first half. Jerry DiTilio will spot it right at the 47. Ball may have been tipped and hits the crossbar. I'm not sure, but the trajectory of the ball appeared to me as though it may have been tipped going over the line of scrimmage. In any event, BC will have it at their 25 when we come back, so the game remains scoreless. The Lions and the Concordes, the 2 conference leaders. The Waltz pass is complete to Sandusky. They tried to set up the screen, but boy, it was read well by Miles Darling. The new cornerback on that side for Montreal, number 36, comes up to make the play.
Well, he was in training camp with the Montreal Concordes last season, did not make the football club, but stayed around. He did play in Hamilton against the Hamilton Tiger Cats this season, so he has had some experience. And Joe Gallat feels at 6'3", 200, and he is quick, that he's got all the tools to be a fine corner, and he sure made a play there.
They take Frank Kosick, who's in there replacing Ken Cianconi, out and insert Preston Young. But Phil Jones was blitzing, and DeWalt got away from him. Complete to Sandusky. He does not get the first down. Boy, there was good hustle there by Harry Skipper and also by Aaron Hill to get over and cover Jim Sandusky after he had made the catch.
These guys play zone defense so well. They know where all the players are, and if you'll watch DeWalt, he gets away from the safety blitz. That's a great athletic move, but so is the move by Harry Skipper here, and as well Aaron Hill, because they knew where Sandusky was, and they knew if he caught the pass, they still had plenty of time to come up and keep him short.
And so with Louis Pasaglia now having the wind at his back, Montreal sends 2 punt returners. Harry Skipper and Phil Jones back to their 30-yard line to return this punt. Little fake by Louis there, as though he might pass off that, but he did boot the ball away. Jones takes it on the run and is dropped at the 41-yard line. So the Concordes are going to have half-decent field position as they take over with 10 minutes and 4 seconds left to play in the half.
Leif, you were talking about zone defense, which the Montreal defense is primarily. It's an easier defense. It's not as tough as man-to-man, where you get hit a little more. Now, I'm just wondering which most receivers prefer, or is it the type of receiver they are that prefers a zone or a man-to-man?
As a receiver, just as we take a look, Calgary in Edmonton tomorrow night. We're going to have that game for you on the CTV network. I'll be out working with Dale Isaac and Al McCann. Looking forward to working with those fellas. But Bill, I'll answer your question right after this play, because it is interesting.
Wayne Wilson Alan Reed, number 34, was not in a position to make that catch. A little swing pass to the back coming out of the backfield, so it goes incomplete. It's 2nd and 10.
As a receiver, working consistently against man-to-man defense really can tire you out, because you really have to run a lot harder to get open. Against the zone, it's more to control your speed, find an open area, and stay in it. So, you know, I didn't have great speed, so I preferred to run a lot against a lot of zone defense.
2nd down, 10 yards to go. Concordes. Pass intended for McTagg is over his head. And after running all that distance, Mike is now going to have to drop back into punt formation. But Bill is right. Montreal does play zone primarily, and they play it very effectively because they've got some pretty good athletes back there who do react well to the football.
Yeah, I think most coaches around the league would agree that as a zone team, Montreal plays it as well as anybody. And I might just mention that Frank Rigney will be inducted into the Manitoba Hall of Fame tomorrow, and our congratulations to him. That's why I'm out there to take over for him tomorrow night with our fine Western crew.
Are there any more Hall of Fames for him to go into?
Well, I tell you, I think he's used them up.
Well, Leaf's going to see a lot of the country. He's here in Montreal tonight. Tomorrow, he'll be in Edmonton, and then on Sunday, he'll be with us in Hamilton.
I love the flag.
Montreal has recovered the fumble punt return. And they will have possession inside the BC 45-yard line.
Well, Jim Sandusky can't find the handle on the football, and it's Glenn Keeble, the center, that comes up with a big fumble recovery in the break.
So with 9 minutes and 4 seconds left to play in the half, it's still scoreless. We'll be back in a moment. For Montreal, the Concordes have possession at the BC 43.5-yard line with a first down. Will got away from James Parker, but Nick Hebler brings him down as he picks up maybe a yard or two.
I think he's hurt, Pat. Took a shot on that knee. Now they're working on the shoulder or the arm area, it looks like, on that left arm of Turner Gill. Couldn't really see how it happened. Was hit by Nick Hebler going down the sidelines there, I do believe.
He was under great pressure from James Parker.
Ooh, you see the elbow kind of really bent there on his left arm as he put his hand down to cushion the fall.
Yeah, it's definitely, Leaf, I'm right here looking at him. It's definitely that left elbow, and the BC Lion doctor is also in, working along with the BC Lion trainer and the Montreal trainer.
Boy, he looks in a great deal of pain. You saw when the trainer touched the elbow.
Looks like once he puts that left arm down there, the elbow might have just dislocated out there.
possible. I'll tell you, he has taken some tremendous hits this year, and a lot of people are really amazed that he has been able to come back the way he has, because if that doesn't make a guy a little nervous, I don't know what does. Well, now he's opening up the hand. Maybe it is a dislocation. He's starting to move the hand, the left hand, and he appears to be able to move it all right. They're moving the elbow back and forth, and so maybe it is a dislocation and they're being able to get it back in which case Turner would be all right. So he seems to be much better than at first it was feared, at least when we first looked at him, Lee.
Well, Mark Stevens will come in, the backup quarterback, the rookie from Utah University, who was really impressive in an earlier game against the Hamilton Ticats. He came in when the Montreal offense simply wasn't moving the football and threw one pass, and it went for a long touchdown. So Mark Stevens, number 10, comes in, and we'll hope that Turner Gill is not seriously injured.
Well, Mark Stevens only attempted 23 passes so far this season. One touchdown to his credit, one interception. Not a heck of a lot of experience.
Well, let me tell you, they're very high on him, though. As a matter of fact, as far as Joe Gallat is concerned, he thinks that he can be a real fine quarterback in the future. He just needs some experience. But if this Montreal squad is to win, there isn't any question that all the cards and all the money is laid on the fellow who is sitting right now at the BC Lions bench, at least on the sidelines, by Turner Gill, with everybody working on him. Elaine Shelderman and Bill Reichelt, who are the two trainers of the Concordes and the Lions respectively, and Dr. Phil Lee, who is the doctor for the BC Lions. But now he is getting to his feet, and he seems to be fine. As a matter of fact, I just got the word from Coach Tom Matthews that he's all right. Thank you, Don.
Well, Joe Gallat will be happy to hear that. You can see Joe is very concerned on the Montreal sideline. One thing about Turner Gill, who had a great career at the University of Nebraska, he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. As a matter of fact, some people are a little bit concerned that he doesn't show enough emotion one way or the other.
Well, I played with Tommy Clements, and he was exactly the same way, and it never bothered any of the guys that played with him.
Well, Tommy has had a wonderful career in the CFL, and boy, that Winnipeg Blue Bomber club is really starting to roll now. They have been so impressive their last 6 or 7 games. And what an amazing home record they have. 2 games, though, that all football fans have to be awaiting. Those are the back-to-back games, the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 2 games that will, in all likelihood, determine first place in the West. So it's 2nd and 10, Montreal, at the BC 44-yard line, and young Mark Stevens is in. He got away from the pressure good, but then he wasn't able to evade Andre Jones, who nailed him from behind.
Well, he came on the safety blitz, and I think Montreal has to suspect something like this. They watched the Winnipeg film last week. They saw what a lot of pressure did to Montreal. It's totally destroyed their offense, and they send number 32, Andre Jones, on the blitz, and he comes up and makes the play. It won't be credited as a sack, as Stevens did gain some yardage.
So Roy Kurtz, who missed a 47-yard field goal attempt earlier when the ball hit the crossbar, will attempt a 49-yarder. His longest this season is 51.
That's short again.
Short.
Yep.
And Crawford gets it out over the 15 to about the 18-yard line. So that's where the Lions will take over with 7 minutes and 39 seconds left to play in a scoreless first half. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are having a fine season, not only in the standings, but at the gate as well. And one of their great all-time rivals, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, will be in Winnipeg on Sunday. That'll probably be very close to another sellout. And we will be in Hamilton, where the Ottawa Roughriders will take on the resurgent Hamilton Tiger Cats, who look like they could very well go right to the top of the Eastern Conference standings. This is Kevan Jenkins, and Jenkins gets to the 20 for a pickup of 2 before Doug Scott is there to make the stop.
Well, we've just received an official report that Ken Cianconi does, in fact, have a torn Achilles tendon, and that is really a tough break for one of the bright young stars in the CFL. He's just been having a great year, 3 interceptions on the season, some fumble recoveries, and boy, oh boy, that's really, I feel badly about that.
Well, we were all such big fans of Ken Cianconi because he has been tremendous in 1985. Van Jenkins again runs into Doug Scott. And boy, are they doing a number in containing the great running back of the BC Lions. He has carried 5 times tonight for a total of 5 yards.
Not too good.
But it goes to show you just how fired up that Montreal defensive unit is. And they have played well virtually every ball game this season, with the exception of one game against the Hamilton Ticats when they had taken a physical pounding in BC.
There's Turner Gill. He's got the ice pack on the elbow, and the report is really much better than you could expect. It is just a bruise of the left elbow, so he could well be back in this game.
Harry Skipper from his own 45-yard line finds a little seam. And Skipper is finally pushed out by John Henry White. But he is in BC territory at the Lions' 42-yard line. A 43-yard boot by Louis Passaglia. A 23-yard return by Harry Skipper. And again, Montreal will begin in Lions territory.
And great jobs by Phil Jones and Preston Young to get just enough of a block to allow Skipper to get through. That's really helping your buddy out back there.
Pat, Turner Gill will not be back in this half, but he could be back in the second half after the doctor checks that bruised elbow, left elbow at halftime.
Thank you, Bill. Mark Stevens at quarterback, and the handoff goes to Wilson. Pickup was about 3 yards, so make it second and, well, 7.5, 8 yards to go.
Apparently, we just had another report about Ken Cianconi's Achilles. It's torn in behind the knee, and yes, in fact, the Achilles then it goes all the way up the back of the leg. So that's a tough spot because, you know, you're always bending that area. Oh, boy.
Mark Stevens firing deep. Touchdown to the newcomer, Spencer Jackson. Oh, did Mark Stevens do a job on reading the coverage and finding his new wide receiver, Spencer Jackson, for a 39-yard touchdown. I guess Spencer Jackson does, in fact, understand this Montreal offense.
Well, you know, he's got some outstanding speed. I called him the fleet-footed receiver from the University of Florida in our opening, and of course, I was just relying on the information from head coach Joe Gallant. He said this guy can fly, and he got in behind one of the better ones in the league, number 1, Darnell Clash. I can't really see how he did it. All I know, he was a long way in behind him.
I wouldn't be surprised if they released the coverage when they thought that Stevens was going to take off, because he was able to get by that initial rush by the Lions. Then he pulled up, saw Jackson breaking wide open, hit him on the dead run for the first points of this ball game, and they were beautiful.
Sure were. Well, Nick Volpe, our isolation director, just happens to have it for you, and going to follow Spencer Jackson downfield. Darnell Clash, as cornerbacks often do, reading the quarterback, and Pat, I think you hit the nail on the head. He thought he was going to run and just let Jackson go free. That's an easy one. Nice way to start your career.
And I'm sure that Johnny F. Bassett, watching back in Toronto, will be pleased at Spencer Jackson's performance, because he had him with his Tampa Bay Bandits in the USFL. But now he's with the Montreal Concordes, and the more than 25,000 on hand here tonight are pleased that he decided to join the club.
Well, it was that good punt return by Harry Skipper that got things started into good field position, and oh, how those special teams do play a big part in the outcome of a football game.
We've got 5.5 minutes left to play in the first half. Concordes out in front now, 7-0. Mike McTagg with the kickoff. High, but not too deep. Van Jenkins from his 24-yard line is dropped as he gets to about the 34. Well, it has been now very close to 9 full quarters with the Lions not scoring a touchdown. That has to be cause for concern as you look, well, a little bit at Spencer Jackson. He's the man in behind that microphone.
Yeah, I think it is cause for concern for Don Matthews. They've just got far too much talent on that offensive football team not to be able to move it down the field. Roy DeWald, a wealth of experience, some great receiving core, Van Jenkins, and of course an offensive line that I believe averages somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 years experience. So it's really, I think, hard to figure out why they can't move the football.
You know, it's funny, you look at his passing stats tonight. Roy DeWald has completed 7 of 8 for 89 yards, but most of those yards came on that big play that got them out of their own goal area when he hit Jim Sandusky. who was flying down the touchline. There's the Montreal scoring drive. 42 yards, only 2 plays, because the newcomer, Mark Jackson, was able to gobble up a pass thrown by rookie quarterback Mark Stevens. And we've got Mark Hopkins down on the ground now. So with 5 minutes and 28 seconds left, the Montreal Concordes have a 7-0 lead. And their fans have to be pleased at what they've seen so far, because they are playing the club with the best record in the Canadian Football League. Joe Gallat, you know, he's such an optimistic type of guy. His only downer of this year, he was telling us yesterday, was the fact that they can't play well when they're on television playing out of town. Every time they go out of town, they have a bad game on TV, so that really limits the size of the crowd for the next home game. But pretty good turnout tonight. Very close to 25,000, I would think.
You know, he is a colorful character, Gallat. He's threatened, he says, to sue Winnipeg's David Shaw. David, if you're listening, he says he's going to sue you for calling him arrogant, because that's defamation of character. And he says it's time that people were held responsible for what they say. And David Shaw has called Gallat arrogant. But you know, we could get a nice little feud going here.
Well, you know, like, I think a lot of people thought Joe was just kidding when he said that, but I think he's serious about it.
No, not serious at all. I don't believe it. He had said that Shaw plays a soft corner. So Shaw was all the news in Winnipeg, of course, going into that Winnipeg game we did last week. But I enjoyed it. So good to get the blood stirred up a little bit between two clubs.
The BC Lions would like to stir up their offense. They begin with a first down at their 34-yard line. DeWalt's pass is knocked down. He was looking for Mervyn Fernandez, trying to set up the screen. It's knocked down by Steve Rocky, number 99, a man that Joe Gallat says is finally healthy enough to start playing the kind of football that he performed last year. Steve's had his problems. He's been banged up most of this season.
Well, he's had the bad hamstring pretty much all year, and only 2 sacks for him. Has missed a couple of ball games, but he was an all-Canadian All-Star last year, and they really need him playing well.
DeWalt's pass is caught by John Pankratz, and was he just drilled by Harry Skipper?
Well, Turner Gilpat, who has been knocked around so much, and we have seen him in the games where he has really been hammered, at BC, at Saskatchewan, here tonight, the elbow. He just told me, he said, I'm going to be back in the second half.
That is the first down for the Lions at their 46-yard line. And this time Sandusky was not able to make the catch.
It's a good pattern to call on first down. They predominantly, Montreal, as we mentioned earlier, in his own defense. You suspect that the corners would be laying off, covering their deep third of the field, and a down and out for 11, 12 yards is an excellent call by Roy DeWalt. Sandusky just couldn't hang on to the ball.
Amazing. The Lions have only 1 first down in this second quarter. It's 2nd and 10 from their 46-yard line. And now they're going deep for Pankratz, but DeWalt overthrows him.
Well, he sure read it right, Pat. That's the play you want. One-on-one, finally get a blitz where you get a little man-to-man coverage, and some of those speedy receivers have an opportunity to work deep downfield. Pankratz against Vince Faison, but DeWalt just couldn't connect. So once again, another drive stalls.
As you can see, 77 Hopkins is fine. They were taking a lot of time when he was injured in the sidelines, flexing that knee. But fortunately, there is no damage, so he was back in action.
So Phil Jones and Harry Skipper drop back to receive Louis Pasaglia's punt. And this will be Skipper from his 22. He drops the football, gets it back, and then tears off down the sideline. Pasaglia will have to make the tackle. He does not. It's a touchdown all the way for Harry Skipper. The man who made the big play against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the key game for this franchise makes another big one against the BC Lions. Harry Skipper goes 89 yards for the touchdown.
Oh, has he got these people in Montreal on their feet? Joe, you've got to be pleased, because that's just a fabulous play by Harry Skipper. You know, he almost didn't get this thing started. He couldn't find the handle, and as so often happens, the cover team relaxes a little bit, gets all bunched up, and Harry just broke it down the sidelines and makes a good move to get around Passaglia. 89 yards later, Montreal has their second major.
And Roy Kurt's point after is good. So the Montreal Concordes, who couldn't score a point against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, have 14 here in the first half against the BC Lions.
Now, that's some kind of play there. Oh.
Tell you what impressed me, too. Tyrone Cruz gave chase, and he was very, very close to catching him. And then it just appeared as though Harry Skipper just had enough left to just boost it into one more gear, and he pulled away from him.
Well, of course, you and I have watched a lot of Harry Skipper over the last few years, and he consistently comes up with the big plays, and that's what they've been able to get not only from their defense, but from special teams all season long.
Got another Montreal Concorde player down. I believe it's Lloyd Fairbanks, number 66. And they're attending to him. It's a very warm night here in Montreal, but we've had a couple of serious injuries already. Ken Cianconi appears to be out for the season with an Achilles hurt. And quarterback Turner Gill is on the sidelines with an elbow.
It's an elbow bruise, Pat, and he should be fine. He could come back in the second half. At least he says he can. And the doctor says, well, he could probably come back. He wants to check him. But I don't know if it's just freak injuries or if they're hitting hard out there, Lee.
Well,
go ahead.
I think maybe it's a combination of both. Anytime you snap an Achilles, I think that almost is a freak injury. But let me assure you that both teams are really hitting hard tonight. This is, well, I think it's outside of that punt return, you know, it's been one of the better played football games. I think BC really got caught bunched up on that return there, and play you don't see them make too often.
You're absolutely right, though. When you see one of those long returns, it normally is when it's been a mishandled punt. And for some reason, I guess it's, you know, it's human nature. They did have a tendency to relax a little bit. And all of a sudden, he finds the opening, and good night, Irene. There he is. Harry Skipper has not signed a new contract. He does have some options open to him, but by his own admission, he wants to stay here in Montreal. And Joe Galat said he has no fear. He'll be here.
Well, I think they want to wait. Both parties want to wait till the season's over, and then they're going to get down to the brass tacks on their negotiations for his contract. But very encouraging to hear him say he wants to stay here.
Kevan Jenkins from his 14-yard line. And Kevan got caught up in the traffic a little bit as he crossed the 35. Does manage to get it to the 38, and so with 3 minutes and 21 seconds left to play in this first half, the Lions are trying to get something going. They have not scored a touchdown in their last 8 quarters plus 12 minutes. DeWalt had a lot of time. Finds the open receiver, John Pankratz, and Pankratz is there to register the first down.
Frank Kosick was out there to make the play on him, and once again in a backside zone defense. He's got that slot back one-on-one.
So it's 14-0. The Concordes are out in front of the British Columbia Lions. We'll be back for the final 3 minutes of the half in a moment. Pankratz came up just short of the first down, so it's 2nd and inches for the Lions at their 48-yard line. Throws. This one will be out of bounds. Well, it's pretty good play on 2nd and inches because they can come back here and go for the first down. However, remembering that they had a 3rd down on inches once before, and DeWalt failed to make it.
Well, I think it was a pretty good call because he knows he's going to, you know, Montreal can't stuff them on 3rd down gambles all night long.
You know, there's a fellow who I don't think receives the credit that he's entitled to. Don Matthews has done an excellent job with these BC Lions, and look at that winning record of his. He's got the club off to an 8-1 start this year as Roy DeWalt will go looking for the first down. Kevan Jenkins made that one on his own when it appeared as though he was going to be stopped back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, I thought Ali Weatherspoon came up, number 52, their linebacker, and He had him in the backfield, but just a determined effort by Keevan Jenkins kept the BC hopes alive and picking up a first down.
Well, there's the hitting again. We've got another Montreal player on the ground, on the field. I can't pick out his number.
I believe it's Ali Witherspoon, the man that Leaf was talking about, number 52. Well, following tonight's game, the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Codavision video systems featuring the portable all-in-one camera and recorder from Kodak.
Now Steve Rocky, the injured Montreal Concorde, on the field, and you're right, Bill. They really have found themselves in a jackpot tonight. Ken Shankoni out of the ballgame, Turner Gill out of the ballgame. Of course, they lost John Pointer earlier in the season, Rich Tomaselli, so they have had their share of injuries. No, he's really had a tough year, Steve Rocky, too. Has not, I don't think, in one game been 100%, although most players will tell you throughout the season very rarely will they be able to play a game when they are feeling 100%, but he's had his share of problems, and never really, the season just has not gone the way he would like it to.
Well, this defense has always been good, but I really haven't seen the Montreal club put together a game offensively and defensively with the enthusiasm that they're showing on both sides of the ball that they have shown tonight.
Well, quite simply, Bill, it reminds me of their opener here at home against the defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers when they defeated them. This game is very similar to me.
Well, there you have a look at the two coaches. The only question I've got, do you think they both use the same hairdresser?
DeWalt very nearly had that one picked off by Brett Williams, number 71.
Boy, did he read that perfectly. And well, you saw him. He's telling Vince Faison, I should have had it. I should have had it.
And all of this happens with 2:21 left to play in the first half. Steve Rocky walked off under his own steam, so I'm sure he'll be back in the second half of play. It's 2nd and 10, Lions. DeWalt is dropped back at the 48-yard line by Mark Hopkins. Montreal has been shuffling their linebackers because of injuries both to Rocky and to Ken Shankoni. And Hopkins is there to make the 3rd sack of the ball game for Montreal.
Well, they did a great job that time. They ran a stunt with Mark Hopkins and Brett Williams, number 71, and he got initial penetration. Then when DeWalt had to step up, it was too late, and Mark Hopkins gets the sack, and the Concordes will get the ball back.
That's the 35th sack of the season registered against that offensive line. Montreal's only had 22. And so with 1 minute and 50 seconds left to play in the first half, Montreal is once again going to have possession, this time at their 30-yard line. At halftime, we'll have a CTV News update for you. Lloyd Robertson standing by in our Toronto studios as we come to you live here at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, where the Concordes enjoy a 14-0 lead. Mark Stevens, the rookie and a quarterback. He's going to run this one all the way. He gets over the 35 to the 36. Rick Klassen, number 9. He was there to bring him down.
Yeah, I don't believe he ever had throw in his mind at all as he rolled out behind the Lloyd Fairbanks and Rob Smith, but that's a good call on first down. Nice safe play. You don't throw it. You just tuck it under your arm. Make sure you don't fumble.
And also at halftime, we'll take a look at what's happening in the CFL this week. The Pacific Western Airlines Players of the Week, and Leaf and I will have the highlights for you. It's 2nd down and 4.5 yards to go for a first down for Montreal. Stevens has this one picked off. And they rule that he stepped out at about the 34-yard line. Larry Crawford comes up with the interception for the BC Lions, and a ball that obviously Mark Stevens wishes he hadn't thrown.
Yeah, Pat, you're absolutely right. A rookie mistake, and when you've got a 14-0 lead, you don't want to give up the cheap one. That ball should have been thrown up in the 3rd row. He tried to get it in downfield, and Larry Crawford makes the big play. Now they've let BC Lions possibly back into the football game.
They've got lots of time, a minute 14 left to play in this first half. Lions shut out to this point. Pass is complete to John Henry White at about the 28-yard line for a pickup of about 5. Paul Gray, number 42, was there to make the stop for Montreal. Lions do not huddle as we take a look at Larry Crawford on the sidelines. And this pass was intended for John Pankratz, but there was a lot of pressure on a blitzing Phil Jones, who got to Roy DeWalt before he could set up properly.
Yeah, Roy DeWalt has not looked good on the big pressure second down plays tonight. You know, he had an opportunity to feather this ball into John Pankratz, and, well, I take that back. Number 81, Sandy Armstrong, got the big hand up and knocked it away.
So Phil Jones drops back into the Montreal end zone. Louis Pasaglia will try a 35-yard field goal.
That's not Lou, that's Boo.
And it's good. Louis Pasaglia puts the Lions on the scoreboard as they capitalize on the interception of a Mark Stevens pass by Larry Crawford, and they pick up their initial 3 points of the ball game.
But, you know, if you're Joe Galette, I think you're quite happy after an interception deep in your own end just to give up 3 points, and could have been a lot worse.
I was referring, by the way, Pat Leaf, of course, to the fact in BC, at BC Place, it's always Lou, Lou, Lou. It sounds like Boo. Well, here, when Lou was ready to go, it was Boo. It definitely was not Lou, Lou, Lou they were chanting.
I'll be very surprised with 59 seconds left to play in this first half if we're going to see Mark Stevens do anything particularly drastic. The handoff is to Dwayne Wilson. And Wilson has the first down before he's forced out at the 48-yard line. Forced out by Darnell Clash, number 1. You know, we were talking about people who've had good rookie seasons. As we take a look at Wilson, Darnell Clash has had a good year.
Oh, he's had a great year. Now, he did play some games last season for the BC Lions, but I like his enthusiasm out in the field. The way he returns those punts and jumps up off the ground and congratulates the other guys for making a block. You know, that's great for team morale, and he's one of those kinds of fellows.
Only 6 seconds off the clock. 53 left to play in the half now. And again, they give to Wilson. He gets away from James Parker. But he cannot get away from Andre Jones, who forces him out at the 50-yard line.
I thought he did a great job to pick up a couple of yards.
Well, he was going to be nailed deep in the backfield if Parker had been able to get a hold of him.
Parker should have made the tackle. You don't see that happen too often, but pretty good straight arm by Dwayne Wilson to get himself a couple of yards.
So with 46 seconds left now, it's second down, 8 yards to go. Montreal at their 50. And Stevens dives for a Montreal first down in BC territory at the 51-yard line with 39 seconds left.
Well, Pat, I suspect now that they're in a certain area of the field where Joe Galette is going to say, yeah, okay, Mark, open it up a little more. Now we've got a chance with 39 seconds to try and maybe get a Roy Kurtz field goal attempt in.
Ball is at the BC 51. Stevens fires it to the sideline, and it is complete as he hits Chris Haynes, the newcomer, with Darnell Clash providing the defensive coverage, but they pick up only about 4 yards.
Well, with the way the wind has been blowing in the Roy Kurtz's first couple of field goal attempts have been, I think he needs at least about another 10 yards of offense before he'll have a realistic attempt at a field goal.
Ball is just outside the 46-yard line. Stevens keeps it himself, dives inside the 40 to about the 39. He has another first down with 16 seconds showing on the clock. Well, you saw the pass that he threw for a touchdown to Spencer Jackson. You know that he's got a good arm, And he's also demonstrating his running ability here late in the second quarter.
Boy, his offensive line gets out in front and just makes some great blocks, though.
First down, Montreal at the BC 39. And Stevens keeps it as he was hit by Glenn Jackson. Doesn't pick up any yardage, and with just 3 seconds showing on the clock, Roy Kurtz and the field goal unit will come on, because it'll be, depending upon where they spot it at the 41. It'll be a 48-yard field goal try. As the Concordes call a timeout, they want to get things organized here. Kurtz is already out on the field. So is Jerry DiTilio, who will hold for him. They would dearly love to get this 3 points back, because it was a mistake by the rookie quarterback that enabled BC to pick up their only points of the half. A Larry Crawford interception set it up for Louis Pasaglia.
I don't know if you can really tell up there, Pat, but the wind at ground level is not that severe, but the flags are showing us that it's whipping around, and it's obvious Kurtz is kicking into that whipping wind, and that's why he is having so much trouble getting it over the end zone, as a matter of fact, from where he has kicked it before, and I think he's going to have a little trouble getting it that far this time, although it doesn't seem to be blowing as hard as it was previously at this time.
Well, you can see how the wind swirls. A lot of movement on that Canadian flag. But the field goal try will come from the 48-yard line. He tried one from the 47 that hit the crossbar, and then he was short with a 49-yard attempt. It's good. On the final play of the half, Roy Kurtz connects for a 48-yard field goal. And the Montreal Concordes leave the field to a standing ovation from this crowd of more than 25,000 as they lead it 17-3.
Had pretty good field position, but I don't know, Roy DeWalt's just not getting the job done.
There's the Chevrolet halftime statistics. 164 total yards for Montreal, only 132 for BC. They have not scored a touchdown in their last 9 quarters. So as a result, it's 17-3 in favor of Montreal over British Columbia. And here's
the head coach, Tom Matthews, said he knows that the fans of the BC Lions are unhappy, but he said, I cannot make changes because of the unhappiness of the fans. However, he's unhappy. That means there probably will be changes.
Well, on the return for the Montreal Concordes, Aaron Hill gets it out very close to the 40-yard line. They'll spot it at about the 39. A return of 37 yards for Montreal, leading the football game 17-3 as we begin play here in quarter number 3. And I note that Mark Stevens is back out there to play quarterback. So Turner Gill, who injured that elbow, remains on the sidelines, as Joe Galat is not going to tamper with a young man who played very well when coming in to replace Turner Gill. And this is Dwayne Wilson over the 50 to about the 51-yard line for a Montreal first down. This is the way they started the ball game. Their first possession, they picked up a first down on their first play from scrimmage. And Dwayne Wilson gives them another one here to start the second half.
Nice job on that right side by Glenn Keeble and the right guard, Rob Smith, to open a huge hole for Dwayne Wilson. And, boy, you like to start the third quarter with a good offensive play, and they were able to pick up a first down.
Ball is just outside the Montreal 51. Mark Stevens dropped the football. The BC Lions recover it, and it's the man who has played so well all season long, number 77, Mike Gray, their rookie defensive tackle, who has simply been outstanding since coming to the Lions from the University of Oregon.
Listen, when you're playing one of the best teams in the country, you do not want to give them any freebies, and that time Mark Stevens just stepped away from the center a little too quickly, fumbled the exchange, and Mike Gray's got the fumble recovery and a big break early in the third quarter for the BC Lions.
His second fumble recovery of 1985. The Lions now have a first down at the Montreal 53. Steve Rocky tried to break up that pass intended for John Henry White. He forced Roy DeWalt to bring it back down. Finally, he did get it to White, but they only managed to pick up a couple of yards. Miles Darling, the cornerback on that side, was able to react and come up and make the tackle.
Well, Steve Rocky did a great job to try and thwart that play, but John Henry Jackson or John Henry Wright, rather, excuse me, made the catch, and he only picked up a couple of yards, though. Miles Darling, a nice play.
So it's second down, 8 yards to go for the Lions, trying to capitalize on a fumble recovery. DeWalt's pass is caught by John Pankratz. He has a first down at the Montreal 40.5-yard line. DeWalt really fired that one in as Paul Gray and Ali Witherspoon, the 2 inside linebackers, were there to make the stop.
Call it. Okay, John Henry.
DeWalt's pass goes, well, it was close to a lot of people, but not close enough for any of them. Joey Little might have been the intended receiver, or then again, maybe Mervyn Fernandez, but it goes incomplete.
No, Pat, that's really what I was talking about when you asked me what's wrong with the BC Lions. You know, that's an easy pass for Roy DeWalt to complete. Joey Little is 6'3", and he's just out in the flat, and boy, you know, you've got to complete those balls to get your offense moving.
Well, they haven't been able to utilize the running of Keevan Jenkins, who is second in the league in rushing so far. Montreal's done a good job in shutting him down. DeWalt getting away from trouble, fires, and it was very nearly picked off by Phil Jones. He was looking for Mervyn Fernandez, but the ball wasn't close to him, and Swervin Mervyn has yet to catch a pass tonight.
You know, I was just going to ask statistician Bobby Layton, because I was thinking to myself, you know, I don't think he's touched the football, and of course he hasn't. Had him open there, but the pressure forced the ball high, and Phil Jones almost came up with an interception.
So again, the Lions are unable to capitalize on good field position, and so Louis Pasaglia, who is second in scoring to Trevor Kennard, trails them by 20 points, will try a field goal from 47 yards out. And it's wide. So Phil Jones is going to concede the single point. Finally goes down on one knee, and it makes it a 17-4 ball game. But again, the Montreal Concordes have to be happy to get out of that fumble recovery by Mike Gray, and they only give up a single point. It's 17-4. Montreal leads BC. We'll be back.
Toronto M5MR to A5.
Thank you, Bill. The handoff from Mark Stevens goes to Dwayne Wilson, who picks up about 3 yards to the 43-yard line before Mike Gray, number 77, against the West. And yet they're only 1 and 2 against the East.
Tough to explain that.
It's second down. Make it 7 yards to go for the Concordes. They swing it out to Alan Reed. But that tough BC Lion defense, led by Darnell Clash and Glenn Jackson, were there to stuff that one. And so we're going to see Mike McTagg in the season. But they trail this one 17-4. As McTagg gets the punt away, Sandusky takes it on the run and gets to about the 44-yard line. Paul Gray was down to make the stop.
And that's his plan.
DeWalt fires this one complete to Sandusky at the Montreal 45. And he reversed his field, dropped back about 5 yards, and then finally is tackled at the point where he made the catch, which is the 45-yard line. Steve Brocky, number 99, brings him down, but not before Jim Sandusky picks up 21 yards.
That's a good fake to Keevan Jenkins. That freezes the linebackers and just holds that pass rush a little longer, and Sandusky on the in pattern. That's a good throw by Roy.
17-yard line. He had Harry Skipper draped all over him, but Swervin Mervyn makes his first catch of the ball game, and it is just a classic, good for 28 yards.
Well, you can't ask for any better coverage than Harry Skipper provided on that play. Just a great bit of athletic ability by Fernandez to wrestle it away.
And so the Lions now are down at the Montreal 17. DeWalt going to the end zone, looking again for Fernandez, but the pass is over his head.
Yeah, wrong choice by Roy DeWalt. They had a double deep zone on both sides to the wide receivers. Got to work that ball to an inside guy when you've got double.
Looking for Fernandez again, but he went to the post. DeWalt threw it to the corner. And we're going to see Louis Pasaglia again.
That's really a strange play. They really overloaded to the left and wide side of the field, giving Mervyn Fernandez one-on-one coverage with Harry Skipper. And they're going to talk it over here because Fernandez hooked, and DeWalt threw it to the outside. With half the field with Mervyn Fernandez, you can't ask for any more than that.
A 23-yard field goal attempt by Louis Pasaglia is good. And so now the Montreal lead has been cut. It is Montreal 17, British Columbia 7, and we'll be back. Will be handled by Vince Faison at his 12-yard line. Faison with an excellent return has it over the 45 to about the 48. And Leaf mentioned this at halftime. Montreal doesn't do a lot of things very fancy, but the special teams of theirs are excellent.
Well, that's what they really rely on, to get good field position from those teams. And Vince Faison, watch how he covers both hands over that football. No way he's going to lose it, and he's got them out.
8-yard line. Mark Stevens steps out just as he reaches midfield, so he'll have a pickup of very close to 7. Montreal from midfield. Stevens' pass is caught for a first down by Nikaraki at the BC 44, hit by Kevin Konar. A pickup of 11 yards, and you have to be impressed by young Mark Stevens.
Yeah, I'm impressed because that's a tough throw to throw back across your body and into traffic as well. He gets it over the top of Mike Gray, and the ever-dependable Nikaraki hooks back to the inside, just stays in the open area. That's a sign of...
That seems to me the waste of an import wide receiver.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
This is Dwayne Wilson reaching for the 41-yard line, and it'll be a pickup of about 3.
What you do if you were the coach, Pat?
I'd have 2 American offensive tackles, and I'd go with 2 Canadian wide receivers because they never throw them the football anyway. The pass is caught by Mike McTagg, and McTagg is inside the BC 30 to the 29-yard line on a perfect throw for
key acquisitions throughout the ball club, and Alan Reed and some of these guys, but nobody's played a bigger role than Mike McTagg this season.
No doubt about that. This is Dwayne Wilson, and Wilson tries hard, but he was upended at the corner by Melvin Bird once again, and he limits his advance to against them. They're the second highest scoring team, and yet they trail Montreal 17-7 with the Concordes threatening to add some more. Stevens is tripped up by number 99, Nick Hebeler, and he's down at the 30-yard line for a loss of about 3 yards.
Well, maybe 40,000 in the stands.
Kurtz's 37-yard field goal is good. It increases Montreal's lead to 20-7. It would be a good idea for the BC Lions offense to get on track. They start from their 44, and Keevan Jenkins is walloped as he gets to the 45-yard line. The big hit by Sandy Armstrong.
You don't think the defensive guys are a little charged up by that hit? Sandy Armstrong just corks Keevan Jenkins, and he gets drilled by his teammate.
Back to the media, by the way, he says we're not winning consistently enough yet.
DeWalt's pass is caught at the 53-yard line, but it's still short of a first down. Vince Faison came over the top and tried to bat it away, but John Pankratz was able to hold on.
Yeah, he sure made a great catch. Roy DeWalt threw it in a good spot, too, low and away, so your receiver's the only guy that really has a chance to come up.
With 3:30 left to play in the third quarter, this could be one of the major plays of the ball game. The handoff is to Keevan Jenkins. Oh, it's close.
Well, it all depends on the spot. Good play.
He's got it.
Well, Bill, you're right at the spot there. You should be able to call it for us.
I'm looking right at it, right down the line. Thank you, Lee.
They give it to him right at midfield. The hit was made by Paul Gray, but Keevan Jenkins' momentum was able to give him that first down.
Well, that's the second time he's done this, and really, I've said before, your middle linebackers got to make the play on short yardage. He did, but Keevan just got enough.
The flag is down. Rocky may have been offside as DeWalt now scrambles. And he steps out of bounds inside the 35 at about the 33-yard line. A good run by Roy DeWalt, and that is what I think he's got.
I think that's a good point.
In this game, I think they have to.
Yep.
It is first down for the Lions at the Montreal 33. Pass is complete to Pankratz, who's had a big game for the Lions. He gets to about the 27 for a pickup of 6. Frank Kosick and Miles Darling were there to bring him down.
Well, John Pancras just goes down, stops, finds a little open area, 7-8 yards. It's a good play on first down, and Frank Kosick, who is in the ballgame replacing the injured Ken Shanconi, makes the tackle with a little help from the newcomer Miles Darling.
7 catches for John Pancras tonight, only 1 by Mervyn Fernandez. It is 2nd down and 3 yards to go, BC. Ball at the Montreal 26-yard line. Give us to Kevan Jenkins, and he's nailed as he crosses the 25 to the 24. Phil Jones was there to bring him to 24. They've got to get to the 23. And again, Kevan Jenkins gets the call and gets the first down to the 20-yard line. Phil Jones brought him down at that point with help. Touchdown, Sandusky. What a beautiful play. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage, and it's holding against BC. That was unfortunate. They put trips out. They put 3 receivers out to the wide side. He faked as though he was going to the wide side, pulled it back and hit Sandusky, and it all goes for naught. Holding the call, and here it is from Ross Perot.
Holding, BC number 54. First down repeat.
Glenn Leonard, the right guard, is called for holding.
Well, you're going to have a look at him. He's working against Doug Scott. You can't see what happens, but he kind of wrestles him to the turf, and he gets caught. It's too bad because that's a great catch by the
30-yard line. The Waltz pass is caught again by Sandusky. And he's upended on a great tackle by Aaron Hill.
Nevertheless, you know, that's a fabulous reception by Sandusky. We can't see the beginning, but he kind of caught the ball in midair and controlled his body to elude the initial tackler, and trying to pick up some extra yardage. Takes a pretty good hit from Aaron Hill. Watch how he catches the ball and kind of changes in mid-direction. Beautiful.
He picks up 11 yards, so it's 2nd and 9 at the Montreal 19. The Waltz pass for Sandusky, good for the touchdown. Another superb catch by the San Diego State graduate Jim Sandusky. He was denied the touchdown the first time around because of a holding penalty, but he comes back with a sensational grab to give BC their first major score of the evening.
Well, they caught Montreal coming with the safety blitz. Vince Faison just does not get there, and Sandusky on the post makes an outstanding catch underneath Harry Skipper.
Sandusky has 6 catches tonight for a total of 104 yards and that touchdown.
Well, he had a big ball game in a game we did a few weeks ago in Ottawa when they beat the Ottawa Rough Riders. I can't remember how many balls he caught, but he had a good night. He's having a great one again tonight.
They went almost 10 quarters without getting a touchdown. There is 1 second left to play in this 3rd quarter, but the BC Lions are right back in it. We told you it would be a close football game at the start of the show. It is 20-14, Montreal leading British Columbia. As we take a look at Jim Sandusky on the sidelines, he deserves that drink of water because, boy, he is tall. The kickoff sends Aaron Hill back to his goal area. And he fights his way over the 25 to about the 27. And so that's where Montreal will take over when we begin the 4th quarter of play at the end of 3 quarters. It is the Montreal Concordes 20, the British Columbia Lions 14. Will return with the Montreal will have a 2nd and 10 at their own 27-yard line. Nothing fancy. He just looks for Iraqi and misses. Against the BC Lions, who have not been explosive. You can see, however, they have moved the football as we look at our 3rd quarter Chevrolet statistical story. 250 total yards for BC, 205 for Montreal. And from the shotgun, Stevens looks, but doesn't get it away. The ball comes loose. The BC Lions have recovered it at the 20-yard line. James Parker comes up with the fumble recovery. Mike Gray made the hit. And Mark Stevens coughs up the football, and hang on to your hats because the BC Lions are in a position to take over the lead.
Well, they have such a dominating defense, and that time Mark Stevens flushed out of the pocket, but number 77, Mike Gray, really puts the hit. He strips the ball loose. He can feel it, strips it loose, and of course there's James Parker in to make the recovery, and BC Lions have another great opportunity. Third turnover in the ball game for Montreal.
First down, Lions at the Montreal 20. Kevan Jenkins on the draw, and he's inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line. Pick up is 7 yards, make it second down, 3 yards to go for the first down.
There's big Mike Gray, and he's had himself some kind of year from Oregon. 25 years old. Worked hard to make this football club this year and really paid big dividends for him.
Again, they hand the draw to Kevan Jenkins, and he's down to the 2-yard line. Tremendous acceleration by Kevan Jenkins forced Aaron Hill to make the stop at the 2.
Well, successive draw plays for the BC Lions. Good block by number 68, John Blaine, opens the way for Kevan Jenkins to get it down to the 2-yard line.
It is first and touchdown to go for the Lions, who trail by 6 points as we have just begun play here in the 4th and final quarter from the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Kevan Jenkins does not get in. He was hit by Sandy Armstrong the moment that he tried to turn up into the hole, and he may have gotten a yard, but no further.
You watch this, Sandy Armstrong pops his helmet right off. He hits him so hard, and that's great.
Scoring team in the CFL next to Winnipeg, but the Blue Bombers have played one more game.
Turner Gill getting ready to come in the next sequence, Pat. He's warming up.
DeWalt keeps it himself. Touchdown, British Columbia. The strength and the power of 6'2", 215-pound quarterback Roy DeWalt has moved the BC Lions into a tie temporarily as we await the point after from Louis Pasaglia.
Well, good initial pressure and hit by Sandy Armstrong, but
loose. Pasaglia's point after is good, and Louis has given the BC Lions the lead for the first time in this ball game, 21-20. That's our score. The Montreal Concordes 21. The British Columbia Lions 21. The Montreal Concordes 20. We'll be back with the point after by Louis Pasaglia that has given the Lions a 1-point lead. 12 and a half minutes left in the ball game. And this is Dwayne Wilson. But Wilson can't get to the outside. He's dropped at the 25-yard line. Mark Napierkowski and Ryan Potter were there to bring him down, but there is a penalty mark. Montreal starts at their 25-yard line. Pass is intercepted, and they rule that it is an interception by number 91, Tyrone Cruz. Well, now they're going to say that he trapped the football.
Well, we're going to have a good look at it here. Tyrone Cruz against number 14, Mike McTagg. Let's follow it through to the end here. Well, you can't really see what happened. I suspect the ball hit the ground. He fell on it and turned over. And without the big protest, I suspect the officials made the correct call. Yeah, sure did.
It's second down and 10 yards to go from the Montreal 25. Boy, James Parker's been coming in there. That one's knocked away by Darnell Clash, intended for Nick Araki. A tremendous pressure by James Parker on both those pass attempts.
Oh, well, that's one of the first things Don Matthews did when he got the head coaching job. He made a trade and got James Parker.
So Montreal is punting on 3rd and 10. Mike McTagg. Good punt. Darnell Clash is forced back to his 32-yard line. This guy can fly. The flag comes down as Clash fights his way to the 45. Mark Hopkins, number 77, was there to make the stop, but we've got an illegal block by the BC Lions, so that'll force them back.
Yeah, I believe number 7, Bernie Gleer, who plays the special teams so well, is going to get cut.
Illegal block, BC number 7.
Those good calls. Nice going, fellas.
Jenkins rocked by Sandy Armstrong for the second time in about the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Sandy's going to need a new paint job on his helmet when this game's over, because he has really laid the lumber on some BC Lions today. Watch that. Whoa. I mean, Bill, we talked about, was this game a hard-hitting game earlier? The fans here just looked at it on the scoreboard, saw the replay, and you could hear the groan.
They'll make it 2nd down and 10 for the Lions at their own 23.5. DeWalt trying to set up the screen to John Henry White. And White does this all on his own. There's a penalty marker down on the field as John Henry got to the 30-yard line. You see Frank Kosick and Brett Williams in there. A clip has been called against the Lions, so they're going to be knocked back inside their own 20. Joey Little has not been involved in the offense, and this is his first game in the CFL for BC.
Has he caught a ball?
No.
Hasn't caught a pass.
But he does get his name into the statistical story with that clip. Good punt by Louis Pasaglia. Skipper's all the way back to his 25-yard line. And Skipper, with a good return, gets it over the 40 to the 41. Ryan Potter, number 33, was down to make the tackle. But we've got a doozy going for us with 9:46 left. Vancouver. First down, Montreal from their 40. Turner Gill going deep for Chris Haynes. And it was neatly broken up by Darnell Clash with Nelson Martin back there as well.
Well, that's just good defense. Darnell Clash would have made the interception had Nelson Martin not come over and put the hit on him instead of Chris Haynes.
We have a BC player down as Pat, and I'm not sure who it is.
It's Rick Klassen, Bill, number 90. And we have had a number of injuries here tonight.
They've all been, though, on the Buxton.
I hope the coach puts him in.
Hope so, too. It's 2nd and 10. Montreal going to the shotgun. Look out, Turner. He's dropped from behind by you-know-who, James Quick Parker, at the 32-yard line. He came from the offside and made the tackle.
That's number,
so fast.
Sorry, Pat. That's number 60, Blake Mill, working on him, and he just does not sustain that block long enough. Even though Turner Gill's going away from where Blake Mill is at the left tackle, he's just got to stay with his man a little longer.
Rick Klassen is just getting a little more tape. It's the left ankle. It's been bothering him a lot of the game. He's had a tape job done on it, and now he's getting another one. He says he's going to go back in.
Statistician Bobby Layden points out that the #1 sack team in the CFL, the BC Lions, have 5 more to their credit tonight against Montreal. Gives them a total of 55 on the year, as Mike McTagg's punt is handled by Darnell Clash at his 33. Oh, this guy can fly. What a great punt returner Darnell Clash is. He takes it all the way to the Montreal 37-yard line before the punter, Mike McTagg, is there to bring him down. Let's watch this one again, a 41-yard return.
Well, he's got that great speed and anticipation to find the first seam in the wall of tacklers coming down. And once you're through there, you've got some great running room, and he does an excellent job. And that whole team works so hard to spring him loose because they know how hard he works.
He is the #1 punt returner in the Canadian Football League, and he's just proved it once again. BC with the first down at the Montreal 36.5.
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, to Keevan Jenkins, who again takes a pop as a penalty marker comes down. Vince Faison and Paul Gray made the hit. It's going to come back.
And as he says, that's my biggest attribute. When I can hit the line right, he said I can explode.
But the holding penalty washes out that play. It was against John Pankratz, so make it 1st and 20. DeWalt's pass is caught by Mervyn Fernandez at the 32-yard line, so they grab back 15 yards. Phil Jones made the tackle on Swervin Mervin's second reception of the ball game.
Great body control as he works his way downfield and does make that catch. As he's catching the football, he's actually turning and trying to run and pick up more yards. I mean, that guy is so graceful.
And DeWalt had a lot of time to throw that ball on that occasion. And he finds him once again for another big first down for the Lions at the Montreal 15.
Well, Pat, you really hit on the key. When you're going to give Roy DeWalt this kind of time to throw the football, he'll be able to pick you apart. That time, Mervyn Fernandez ran a double out. He He ran it out, went upfield, and then broke back to the out again. And in order to do that, your offensive line's really got to give you the protection.
It is BC 21, Montreal 20. First down, Lions at the Montreal 15-yard line.
Hey, those aren't bad numbers either.
Well, it's been just an outstanding football game. DeWalt to the end zone, touchdown, Fernandez. Boy, he is a magnificent receiver. He is so fluid. He's got that great speed, always has it under control, and scores for the BC Lions to up their margin to 27-20 with the point after yet to come.
Once again, the key, though, look at the safety blitz coming, and they get enough of a hit on Phil Jones to enable Roy DeWalt to step up and drill a strike to Mervyn Fernandez. He runs such a pretty post pattern. I think he and Terry Greer both just have that pattern down so perfectly. It's so tough to cover.
That is 60 pass receptions on the year now for Fernandez. His 8th touchdown, and that ties him with Jeff Boyd of Winnipeg for the lead in touchdown receptions in 1985. So now, after the successful point after by Louis Pasaglia, the BC Lions lead the Montreal Concordes. BC 28, Montreal 20 with 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the ball game. Roy DeWalt, well, I'm sure he stifled much of the critics around the country with his performance here in the second half.
Well, Pat, you know, you said to me at halftime, what do the BC Lions have to do? And I said, well, Roy DeWalt has to take control of this game, and he really has.
Plus the fact that Montreal has turned over the ball a few times tonight. Aaron Hill with a kickoff return over the 30 to the 32, where Ryan Potter again is first down to make the tackle for Montreal. The Lions jumped offside. This will be a free one for Stevens, and he goes deep looking for the newcomer, Spencer Jackson, just over his head.
And he put just a great move on Darnell Clash as well. Stopped and took a couple of quick little steps to the out. Clash bid up, and he was home free. Fortunately, Mark, Stevens couldn't hit him.
He just put a little more air under that ball. He just, just threw it too much on a clothesline.
I know what you mean, but, he saw Nelson Martin, that safety, coming over there so hard. He wanted to gun that thing and get it there as quickly as possible.
Offside, BC number 77.
Have you two ever seen a club, though, whose wide receivers have caught fewer passes or fewer touchdown passes than this Montreal team?
I never have.
I can't recall, Bill, either. It's quite remarkable that they've caught so few passes.
Mike Gray was offside, so it's 1st and 5, Montreal at their 36. Dwayne Wilson stumbled a little bit, but was able to regain his balance and get to the 40, where Mel Bird, number 10, made the stop for BC. So he comes up about 2 yards short of the first down. Make it second down, 2 yards to go. Montreal, the ball is just inside their 40-yard line. And now the clock, all important. 5 minutes and 56 seconds left to play in the ball game. An 8-point difference with British Columbia out on top. Stevens keeps it himself. And Kevin Konar comes over to make the tackle, along with help from Glenn Jackson.
It was a play downfield away from the action, and I don't know what precipitated it.
Thank you, Bill. I did not see it. It is first down, however, for Montreal. Stevens, with some good individual effort, gets the ball out to the 48. He'll pick up 5 yards before Kevin Konar is there to bring him down.
Well, he had no choice but to run the football. The Montreal receivers looked like a fire drill downfield. They were all mixed up, and he does a good job to make a bad play into a good one.
And picks up 5 yards. The ball outside the Montreal 48, 2nd and 5. Dwayne Wilson, the ball carrier. He has a Montreal first down as he crosses midfield into British 3 yards, has Dwayne Wilson, the sophomore from Idaho State. Mark Stevens, the quarterback, only picked up 4 yards, ran about 30 before Tyrone Cruz chased him down.
Now, you can see now, a little over 4 minutes remaining. It's been a long game for these linemen. It's a hot night here in Montreal, very muggy and humid, and both those lines are getting a little tired with the quarterbacks running all around the field.
You can see that Larry Crawford is winded as he moves to the sidelines. 2nd down, 6 yards to go. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the ball game. And Stevens is upended on an outstanding play by number 99, Nick Hebler, who just slashed through there.
Combined with the 8 sacks last week supplied by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they're giving up a lot of sacks.
But only in the last couple of games, strangely enough. Darnell Clash allows this one to bounce to him at the 11 and is now inside the 10. But they're going to spot it right at the 10-yard line. Well, college football is going right across the country. We want to remind you of some of the games that are taking place. And the handoff only picks up about a yard or two. Key Van Jenkins, the ball carrier. Now, Montreal has time.
Well, they've got a great opportunity here. There's 2 minutes, 51 seconds remaining. Lots of time on the clock.
BC has really come on here in the latter stages of the third quarter and here in the fourth to completely dominate the game. They lead it by 8 points. And DeWalt is sacked inside his 5-yard line as Steve Rocky got to him. There was a lot of pressure from a lot of people. Steve Rocky, Doug Scott, Brett Williams, they were all around the quarterback.
Well, this is your basic team sack right here. Brett Williams coming in, good pressure. There's Steve Rocky coming hard, and he flushes DeWalt up and gets some help from the other guys. But what a great job. Defense has done their part.
And now Louis Pasaglia is going to be standing in his end zone to punt with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left to play in the ball game.
Only one guy back, too, Pat, so see what develops here. And it's Alan Reed. They want a guy back there that can handle a football.
Louis did a good job to get it away, and it's a great punt. Reed back at the 50-yard line. And now he's back to his own 50 and back to his own 45. Boy, he was at the BC 50 when he caught it. He loses a total of 20 yards. Larry Crawford finally makes the stop.
Patty O, you talk about a turn of events, a snap that's a low snap, and Louis Pasaglia has difficulty fielding it. He gets off a rocket, and now watch Alan Reed. He's at the 50. Oh, boy, back. He's going to lose 15, 16 yards on that play.
And we are now under 2 minutes, 1:57 left. Montreal at their own 43. There's a marker down. Stevens steps out of bounds as he crosses the 50 at the 51-yard line. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays continue to win, and immediately at the conclusion of this game, we'll have the Carling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game stars for you. Mark Stevens needs the biggest play of his career, but he's dropped by James Parker just as he got the ball away.
Yeah, once again, that's that matchup that we talked about tonight. James Parker and number 60, the youngster in there, Blake Neal, and Parker once again wins that battle, and Mark Stevens cannot get the ball away.
Following tonight's game, the Carling O'Keefe Sports game down and 20. Let's make that second down, excuse me. Again, Stevens in a whole lot of trouble. Unloads the football, and it is picked off by Larry Crawford. And Crawford, from sheer exhaustion, drops as he crosses the 15 to the 13-yard line, snuffing out Montreal's probable last opportunity. There is a penalty marker on the field, however.
McTagg and Martin are punching. At least Martin was punching McTagg, and McTagg was trying to get away from him, and I think a flag may have been thrown on that, Pat.
I think you're right, because it is a rough play penalty against British Columbia.
Major foul, unnecessary roughing, BC number 4, first down.
So it happened after the interception by Larry Crawford. It was against Nelson Martin. And we've got an injured Montreal Concord player down on the sidelines. at his own 12 or 13 yard line.
Number 60, Blake Nill. The young man had a little difficulty tonight handling James Parker, as a lot of other offensive tackles have had throughout their careers.
Well, you know, you were talking about Larry Crawford and how he's trying to get back into the lineup. Kerry Parker is also back after a year with the Kansas City Chiefs. This BC Lion defense is really something. Crawford has his second interception of the ball game, and boy, how the tides can change. Look at Joe Galat. Goes to the locker room at halftime with his club out in front, 17-3. Now it's 28-20 for the BC Lions, and they're going to win their 9th game of the season. They have lost only once.
Well, regardless of Joe Galat and his loss tonight, both teams have provided some great entertainment for us. I think it's been one of the more entertaining games that I've seen this season.
I'll tell you, I think it's the best football game we've seen, or at least we have done this year, certainly on CTV.
And what it's going to do is it's going to move the Lions back on top of the Western Conference, 2 points ahead of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A minute 28, as you saw, left to play in the ball game. Now, you're not going to see anything too fancy here. You'll probably see Keevan Jenkins carry the ball a couple of times, because BC wants to hang on to the football and preserve this 8-point margin. Matter of fact, they give it to John Henry White, and John Henry just cracks his way inside the 50 to about the 49-yard line for a pickup of very close to 7 yards before Vince Faison moves up to make the stop. Clock is moving once again now with a minute 20 left to play. Amazing the turnaround in the Canadian Football League. It can happen so quickly, particularly when you've got an experienced quarterback like Roy DeWalt. This is John Henry White again, and he's very close to the first down marker. There is a penalty flag on the field.
Well, Pat, things were not going well for the BC Lions in the first half, but they hung in there, and that's what great defense can do for you. They kept it close enough that when Roy DeWalt finally got his offense moving in the second half, they were able to finally take control of this football game.
And they might have been a little rusty from that week layoff that they had.
Hey, let me tell you, gentlemen, this game is not over yet.
Offside.
Touchdown.
Montreal number 71.
Bill, it is
First
over.
down.
We've only got a minute and 2 seconds left. It's first down, BC.
You don't remember some of the CFL games we've done over the past years, do you?
No, but I know that you're a betting man, so I'll give you 7 points, and I'll take BC. How's that sound?
Well, I'll want 9.
John Henry White, again the ball carrier.
Can't fool Bill.
And he gets to the 40 for a pickup of about 3.5. Howie Witherspoon, number 52, is there to make the tackle. Well, the clock is running down inside 55 now, as you see. Second down, about 6 yards to go for another first down. Well, John Henry's getting his work now. Inside the 40 to about the 38. Paul Gray was there to make the tackle for Montreal. And I would think that Louis Pasaglia will be punting.
And I think he very well might try and go for the single point, which would give them the 9-point margin.
Now, you have played some very special team areas in Canadian football. Is it harder to block a field goal or harder to block a punt?
I think it's harder to block a field goal. It's a tougher angle to come. Unless you get, it's tough to get up the middle because those linemen put their feet, they wedge their feet in behind each other, so you can't get a crack in there. So really the only guy that can have it is the guy that comes from the outside on the single block side, and you have to cut it so sharp in there.
So it's harder to block the field goal.
Much harder to block a field goal than a punt.
Right. And first of all, they're only 7 yards back to begin with.
That's correct.
The Miller Toronto Marathon and the Celebrity Chase for Charity goes this Sunday, September the 29th. And we'll have it for you on Wide World of Sports on October the 12th. We could all be waiting for that one as Louis Passaglia tries the field goal, and he's dead perfect.
Well, that's a great kick by Louis. You know, that's 45 yards into the breeze, and it kind of salts it away. Right, Bill?
Well, I'm glad I didn't give 9 points. Let me put it that way. I would have to say the game is over now. I mean, despite the fact that there are 34 seconds left and anything can happen in the CFL.
You do this very grudgingly.
I must admit. This has been a great comeback for the BC Lions and for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are sitting back, I'm sure, watching this game and thinking about the fact that they meet them twice in a battle for first place in that Western Conference. It's going to be a real battle. Those are two games I just love to see.
Louis has picked up 19 points tonight, so he trails Trevor Kennard by just 1. Pass is complete to Dwayne Wilson to the 42-yard line. It's 31-20. British Columbia over Montreal with 27 seconds left to play.
Well, we just saw a shot of Joe Gallant. I do feel sorry for him because, yes, Joe, I thought your team played pretty well tonight, but a couple of turnovers did the story, and Roy DeWalt finally got rolling.
Again, Stevens delivers it over the middle, this time to Alan Reed. And Reed has a Montreal first down with 16 seconds left on the clock. Roy DeWalt has played well offensively. Kevin Konar has played very well defensively for the Lions. And I'm sure their names have been bandied about for our Carling O'Keefe offensive and defensive game stars. Find out who they are right after the game. Mark Stevens runs it to the BC 51 with just 5 seconds left on the clock. And this should be the final play of the ball game unless they do something very quickly. The pass is right through the hands of Dwayne Wilson. It would not have meant anything anyway because the British Columbia Lions have won their 9th game in 10 outings as they defeat the Montreal Concordes 31-20 after they had fallen behind 17-3 at the half. But the Lions really put it together late in the third quarter and salted it away in the fourth. Should stop time in the last 3 minutes of each half be eliminated? No, said 78% of our callers tonight. And I would agree with them. I think it's nice to be able to stop the clock in the final 3 minutes of each half when it is appropriate to do so. But this is a big victory for the BC Lions. They move back 2 points ahead now of the second place Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And both of them have now played 10 games. The final score, 31-20. BC over Montreal. We'll be back in a moment. Cast crew. From British Columbia, quarterback Roy DeWalt is the offensive star. And from Montreal, defensive end Sandy Armstrong is the defensive star. Each of tonight's outstanding players will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Codavision portable all-in-one camera and recorder. And by Tilly, bringing together quality and creativity in all of their products from their line of personal leather goods through to their travel wear. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
The BC Lions coming back to win it over Montreal Concordes. And this is Bill Stevenson for the entire CTV crew, wishing you a very pleasant good night. This CFL telecast has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. This telecast is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or rebroadcast in whole or in part without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited.